How's your day been?
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously just finished work. So it was a fairly busy day to be fair. I think we had like 700 orders, online orders that we had to do, plus the walk-ins.
Damn, that's
So
heat. Is
yeah.
that is that like normal for I guess this time of year?
We had the Boxing Day sale,
Yeah.
so it's fairly normal throughout the years, but like our website actually crashed this morning, so it was a little bit less than we were expecting.
Yeah. That sucks. Do you know why it crashed? Just internet issues or?
No, pretty much like a server overload.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Damn. I guess the situation like that kind of sucks. You miss out on some sales, but at
yeah,
least like it's 700 still seems like a decent amount.
yeah. I mean, the people that were trying to do orders and whatnot, they just emailed through and we sorted them out in the end anyway. So it's
Okay, that's good. That's good.
easy.
How was your Christmas?
Yeah, really good. I obviously ate a fair bit of food, but given that they were allowed to be eaten, it's all within good graces.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, very good Christmas. What about yourself?
Yeah, it was chill. It was nice. It was like we decided it was a day to kind of we had like been working, guess like we had like a really crazy like November, December work wise, and then I think we like kind of basically worked all the way up to like Christmas Day, and then we were just because we live in Melbourne by ourselves, like our family's like on the Gold Coast, and we don't really know anyone down here, so we just ended up kind of just having a relaxing day. We watched some watching showing her Naruto, so we spent like half the day watching Naruto, which was nice. She's getting into that, and then what else did we do? Just had a little nice little feed. And then yeah, it was just good to relax. I can't complain. I guess it's Christmas. It's a good day.
Yeah, nice. That's chill. What do you do for work?
I do so I work part-time over the weekend in the bakery, and then we do like a videography and photography. That's like
Oh,
our
sick.
like business that we're building up, and then yeah, the part-time we do work in the bakery. So
Is it
busy all the
is are
time.
you
Busy.
working are you
Pardon?
working for a bakery or is it your bakery that you're working for?
No. Working for a bakery.
Yeah, okay, cool.
So just kind of I'm not a baker, but like I do like front of stuff, front of house, and work with
Yeah,
I do like the early mornings with the bake because one of the bakers has schizophrenia, so he's kind of like not allowed in the store by himself. Or he's not allowed to have the keys and open up and stuff. So I have
yeah.
to go in there with him and make have the keys and have the responsibilities of just opening up with him, which is interesting.
Uh,
I haven't.
no,
It was yeah.
that's actually a pretty cool story to be fair.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Like I heard like all these crazy things about him when like we moved down here, but like I've just like not experienced anything. He has visuals, I guess visual schizophrenia, so he like sees things, and I think whether he sees a therapist, well he's got medication, so he's obviously seen a psychiatrist, but whether whatever way his family, because he's got kids, and they've like I guess helping him understand the visual hallucinations. It's like from a like angels and demons. So he'll randomly like say things to me like, "Oh, there's an angel over there," or he'll ask me a question or something. But like I haven't seen him. Apparently, the other baker that he like can't work with anymore. I don't know. He thought she had like an evil spirit on her, so like he would randomly just like throw things at her and stuff like that. So like I'm hearing all these things on my first couple of shifts, and then yeah, nothing ended up happening, and so now I just get random conversations. Like I guess I like do the right thing of like entertaining whatever he says to me in a
Yeah.
polite way. But it's interesting. It's an experience. It's nothing crazy.
No, that's cool. I actually haven't dealt with anyone with or diagnosed schizophrenia at least. So that's a, a pretty interesting scenario, especially in your
Yeah.
workplace.
Yeah, definitely. It's like it's interesting because I think when I was younger, um, me and my mom we lived in like I guess it's a duplex or like it's like when there's like two houses side by side and then there's like a wall that splits. Like I
Oh yeah.
guess, um, and I'm pretty sure he had schizophrenia, but I had never heard of visual schizophrenia. So or maybe he had split personality. I don't know, but he would always scream and yell. Maybe he was hallucinating. I didn't know that
Mm.
was like a thing, and that's who he was like. I guess verbalizing because you just always hear him like scream, and then you'd hear like bangs and stuff, and so obviously that was like my cat. But I was like a kid, and I never really interacted with him. So I
Yeah.
guess like, but that was like my only pre-context. So then yeah, this has been, I guess, an interesting learning experience, so to speak.
At least you're one of those people that's like actually understand your situation and you're not going to be a dick about it.
Yeah, yeah. That's what's funny about the other baker that he can't work with anymore because yeah, she just is like, nah, this is like crazy, it's not acceptable. And so like she just like is outright a dick. So like when he's not there and she's there, like I do one day with her and she just like rips into him. Like any possibility, any chance, any moment, she'll just talk shit about him. And it's like I get it. Like he's throwing shit at you, but it's like oh, you don't need to keep going. Like, you
Yeah.
haven't worked with him for over like 6 months. Like, you can like let it go.
Yeah, there's people that definitely hold on to grudges in this world, that's
Yeah,
for sure.
100%, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, firstly, I just want to say thank you for jumping on and having this chat with me. I'm excited to kind of dive deep into everything.
Yeah. I'm kind of interested to see what we're going to talk about, to tell you the truth.
That's
So I've
all
never
right.
done anything like this, and you probably hear that about literally every single time.
Yeah, yeah, kind of. But then everyone ends up leaving and feeling really happy and enjoying it. So hopefully we can do the same for you.
Yes, fingers crossed, man. I'm sure we will.
Yes, 100%. Well, let's just like start, I guess. Let's take things all the way to the beginning. Help anyone listening who doesn't actually know you or know much about you and only knows you as a bodybuilder. What, I guess, how did that start? Like, what got you into bodybuilding in the first place? How did you kind of discover it? Were you athletic as a kid? Were you not?
Um, I mean, growing up, I was always a very skinny kid. So always very, very much I struggled to gain weight. Um, and I guess you could say I was like naturally a poser. I had no right to be posing. But I was like one of those kids that always threw up a front
Yeah,
double and I was just like a menace when he had no right to be a menace.
yeah,
Um, but at the same breath, I was also like very insecure the way that I looked. So I was playing sports like rugby, baseball, and I was very, very athletic. So I've always grown up with sports.
mhm,
So like I was in the both swimming team and athletics team in school, and did fairly well in those ones. But post probably about year 10, I had the opportunity to either go to America to play baseball, um, or do state rugby. Yeah, like play at a national level sort of thing. Um, so I chose the rugby. Surprisingly, I didn't think I would, considering baseball was my
yeah.
actually favorite sport at the time.
Especially being able to go overseas too.
Yeah, it was the cost involved for that. Like it
Yeah,
just we couldn't afford it. I think it was like 15 grand or something like that for me to go over, and yeah, it just wasn't financially feasible for me to
yeah.
go do that because it was pretty much go over there, study, and do all of that over there. And then from there, played state rugby. Was playing union, ended up switching over to rugby league, um, and then played rugby league up until about 2021. I was playing first grade at that point, so I was actually getting paid full games, which was pretty
That's so
cool.
cool. Yeah, that's mad.
Um, and then I decided that I wanted to do a bodybuilding comp, and then I ended up paying for the sport. Um,
Yeah, yeah, literally. So
yeah.
ironic.
But yeah, so I competed 2022. I decided that I was going to compete 2021, but started with a coach in 2022. Um, that was Jeremy So, and we worked together through up until the show, which is an end of year show, and that was all natural. So I did both ICN and YNF, which is the WA version of like IMBA and
Yeah.
those sort of ones. Um, so I did those two. Ended up winning the juniors aspect side of things. So that was pretty cool. But in terms of an overall aspect, I think I came. I wouldn't even be able to tell you. I think it was about six or something like that. So it wasn't great, but wasn't um, terrible either. Like
Yeah.
it was
Happy
fairly
placing.
decent result. Sorry.
I was gonna say it's like a happy placing, like a
Yeah,
happy middle. Like you
happy
that you
meeting
won
you.
the juniors, you kind of didn't do too bad, but you kind of placed in the middle. Like there's potential there.
Yeah, exactly. But from then, because I realized that I had like somewhat of a potential in bodybuilding, um, I decided that I was going to go enhance post show, and I had my eyes set on 2024 IFBB. Last year, I was going to be a junior, um, and then I ended up going enhanced 2023. I think it was May or something like that. Um, and then 4 weeks in, my family decided a surprise holiday, so that kind of messed up the whole start of that. Um, but yeah, anyway, then competed 2024 in IFBB. I ended up winning the WA state title and won junior nationals. Um, and then for the open, I think I came like 10th in my class.
Yeah.
So that it kind of just shows you like the difference between open classic and then your juniors classic.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Um, it was kind of just like a completely different ball game, and same with like state to national level. It was much different ball game. And then I was worried that I wasn't going to hit my weight cap. Um, I've learned that I shouldn't be worried about that. Thankfully, the next time around, so this year, my weight cap went up. So I was in the 105 kilo weight cap because I was zero point 0.2 centimeters under. Um, so I only needed 0.2 centimeters, and I shrink about like 1.5 centimeters in preps, which is terrible.
Yeah.
Um, I obviously carry a lot of fat on the bottom of my feet. Um, but then managed to use an inversion table, managed to get into the higher weight cap. So now my weight cap's 108. Um, State show, you probably saw, was probably one of the most stacked state shows
Yeah.
out there. So I ended up coming fourth in that. And then jump over to nationals, came fifth in the open class. And that is kind of where we are now. Since then, I've gone over to Tom Stanley. I've now hired him as my coach. So I think I'm going to make some pretty good changes with him, and also doing work with Tanya Dominique. So she is actually helping me to grow some lats because it's clearly a very weak point of mine. Um, and yeah, I have plans to compete 2027 season A with the goal in mind of just absolutely maxing out that cap, struggling to get in to it, and just kind of look bigger than I am,
Yeah.
if that
Hopefully
makes
win
sense.
another state title or even, place well at
Yes.
nationals.
Yeah, exactly that. So that's I mean, obviously I'm like every other bodybuilder. I have aspirations for a pro card. And then aspirations to do as well as I can in the pro ranks.
Yeah.
Um, but that's just every other bodybuilder is the
It's
same
part
goal
of
in
the dream.
mind.
Part of the
It's
dream.
the part of the dream. Yeah.
So wait, before we kind of get to like that first competition, so you were doing rugby and you're getting paid. Were you weightlifting while you were doing that? Like how, like I guess how, what made you decide to then like do your first competition? Like did someone say something to you? Did you like, were you already kind of eyeing bodybuilding while you were doing the rugby? How did that all kind of work?
Um, I mean, I've been weightlifting and doing weight training since I was 16, 25 now. Um, but I hadn't been doing actually like bodybuilding training.
Mhm.
So it was all like strength based, all very functional strength to be as strong as I could be on a rugby pitch. Because obviously, as a smaller guy, I really struggled against those big Maldives and Fijians, and a lot
Yeah.
of them. Towards the end of it, obviously, I wasn't that small compared to the rest of them. I mean, they're all big, stocky guys. I mean, I'm 6'2",
Yeah, you're a
so
tall boy.
um, but like there were still guys that made me feel absolutely tiny. But yeah, pretty much I had my eyes set on a bodybuilding comp in general. My dad competed when he was younger, and he was always the big, muscly dad at school. Um, so it's kind of something like I looked up to in terms of like the feedback that I got from all my friends. It was
Yeah.
like, oh, your dad's so big and whatnot. Like I kind of want that for my kids when I eventually have kids. Um, but yeah, decided that it was time to do a bodybuilding comp for a couple of reasons. One was injuries. Um, so a few injuries, far too many concussions in my life as your standard rugby player. And just decided that I was going to, it was originally going to be just a year away from rugby, but I was standing on the stage. I really like fell in love with the sport. Um, and like the posing aspect side of things, I absolutely love. Like that's probably my favorite part of the sport. Don't really like dieting. Dieting kind of sucked.
Yeah. That's like I
um,
think most people. There's a small percentage that actually are obsessed with the dieting phase.
yeah, I mean, I the getting lean and seeing you detail day in day out is very cool. But I'm a glutton at heart, and
Yeah.
I very much so enjoy eating food.
I feel you. I feel you.
But yeah, that's pretty much as to why I started. There was
Yeah.
no exactly ulterior motive other than I knew I wanted to do a bodybuilding comp, and that I'd seen my dad do one. Um, and like he had shown me photos of when he had competed, and I thought that was very cool. And yeah, I just wanted to give it a go
Yeah.
because I mean, whilst I was getting paid in rugby, I wasn't at that at the time. I wasn't at the point where I was going to make it to the professional side of things. Like I just wasn't quite there in terms of um, size, really. Like I was still tall and lanky. Like it probably doesn't sound that small to most people, but like at 6'2", I was at max 95 kilos. I think my heaviest was. Um, so it wasn't quite big
Yeah.
enough for.
Yeah. Especially with I'm 6 foot myself, and I like peaked in off season at like 95, 100, and like being natty, like it's just not, it's like not the same. Like you're not
Yeah,
like, compared to my friend who's like, 5'6", I think, or 5'7", and he's like at 10 kilos below me and he looks bigger than me. So it's like,
yeah.
I can imagine when you think about all those really big, like you said, Islander boys, Samoan boys, Fijians, like they're just stocky and huge. Even being so tall, it's just their genetics. They just pack on all that size. So I get what you're trying to say.
Yeah. But it was interesting the changeover from rugby to bodybuilding
Yeah.
because I still did a lot of the movements I used to do, except I started training lats a hell of a lot more. Um, so my who knows, my lat genetics might not be bad. It just could be a lack of actually training them properly.
Yeah.
Um,
100%.
so who knows what the next year holds for me.
Well, hopefully, like for even like, it's crazy, like looking at your physique and like your structure, like you're so tall and you have that proportion that, like, yeah, one full, and like you said, working with, was it Dominique? She's Dominique, was it? The
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
that
Tanya.
pardon?
Tanya, that's her
Oh,
name.
Tanya, sorry.
Yeah.
That like you said, you've never really, I guess, spent that quality time of working that muscle, and now working with her to
Mm.
do that, who knows, it could like double in size, and then you're just going to look even wider and then take up even more presence on stage, which is great because I think, as much as it's always that saying, when you're taller, it's harder to fill out your frame, but once you do, you just take up space, and then you're
Yeah.
hard to ignore.
Yes, that's a well, it's a prime example of Dashi,
Yeah,
the last national. He same height as me, but just an enormous human being, and just made the rest
yeah.
of us look small. You couldn't really take your eyes off him.
I saw him in Bali, undefeated, maybe 10 weeks out, 12 weeks out. Monster. Monster.
Yes.
I was like, when I saw him, I was like, is he doing open now? I was like, what
Yeah.
the fuck? Why does he look like that? Why is he just so big everywhere? So no, it's awesome to see that he finally got his pro card. Very, very well deserving. Excited to
Mm.
see him on that pro stage.
Yeah, I actually couldn't compute in my head like how he was pretty much the same weight as me.
Yeah. Crazy, crazy. So something that I'm interested about is like, so how many shows did your dad do? Did he only do the one or?
Yeah, so he did the one show in Pretoria in South Africa.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so he only did the one show. I think he got told by the judges that his calves were too small.
That's brutal.
And that was like the only thing they needed to work on. So I guess that's
It's
something
interesting.
that I mean, I can blame him for passing down my shit calf genetics.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, but yeah, no, he was a like an Olympic level swimmer. So like that was kind of like a side hobby for him.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah. Oh,
was it wasn't a goal of his.
yeah, yeah. That's still cool that he like was able to, I guess, step on stage once. Because where I was kind of going with that was when you ended up doing like, making that decision to do your first show, and you had your coach, was there any moments like, did you ever have any training sessions with your dad? Was there any input, like advice that he kind of, or you went to him? Like, was there any, because, him being there and actually going through the process himself, were you able to kind of lean on him, or was it kind of separate because you kind of had a coach?
Um, well, I mean, my dad wasn't actually. It's only recently he's moved back to the country.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, he left the country in I think 2000. I want to say like 2012 or something like that. Um, so he was. I'd only seen him probably 5 or 6 times in the last 14 years.
Yeah.
So only the last couple shows.
Yeah.
So he's been here for both my IFU shows um, that I've seen him. But with that, it was a little different having him back in my life because he still sees me as a little kid.
Yeah, yeah, which is
Um,
hard.
so at that point, I was more focused on listening to what my coaches were telling me, um, and not so much
Yeah,
my dad.
yeah,
Like, although the last prep, I will give credit when credit is due. Um, if it wasn't for him, I think my triceps wouldn't have started growing a little bit more. I know there's still a weak point, very much so, but he gave me some new movements that I haven't used before, and I just chucked them in at the end of my workout on
mhm.
days that I was doing triceps or whatnot, and from there, I think obviously more volume, but from there, different variation and more volume has helped with the growth. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. It's nice. I think it's nice being able to have, you know, little moments like that. It's like that's I can relate to that a little bit too because it's similar thing. Um, kind of. like yeah, not having like, well, like obviously for myself, not having the best relationship with my dad, and then where there was like a brief moment where I guess the older that I got and I had already got into bodybuilding, and he was always kind of into the gym. And there was like a brief moments here and there where we were able to have some sessions together. And then I know that was kind of nice to experience. So it's cool to hear that, you're able to have a little moment like that where, he's going, oh, here, maybe try this. And, hopefully, and by sounds of it, it's like you said, as a bodybuilder, volume helps and obviously, different variations. And at the end of the day, it's more stimulus. It's going to help growth. And at least, I guess, a positive has come out of that, which is always
Yeah.
nice to hear, in my opinion.
No, definitely. Yeah, no, it's not all bad. I think him. I still have my stepdad,
Yeah.
so it's not like I grew up without a exact father figure, because he's very much so been a father figure for me as well. So thankfully, I didn't lose out in that aspect.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely positives and negatives I can take from it. I think the relationship is a lot different than what it would have been if he
Mm,
was here throughout the whole
more
time.
focused. 100%.
Funnily enough, he actually really does not like bodybuilding as much anymore, just because he is very against the PED use.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I mean, he did it himself, and he's obviously the biggest hypocrite of it. But the I try to explain to him that times have changed so much, and that there's much smarter ways
Yeah.
to go about it.
Yeah, yeah. That's funny. That's like that. My mom's like that. She's like, she kind of likes bodybuilding, like gets it, like especially because of the people around her when she was growing up. But it's like the same thing. Like to me, she's like so against PEDs, and it's like I'm trying to explain. It's like, back then, it's like not the way that it is now.
Mm.
And yeah, it's funny. I guess it's just that older generation of thinking, and I guess stubbornness of wanting to see the difference, or move on with the times because it's not necessarily relevant to their life,
Yeah,
or,
well,
or important
and
to them.
even just change opinion up a little bit.
Yeah,
Like so stuck in their ways. My mom's kind of the same as well, though. She's accepting of it. She knows that I'm going to do it. But obviously, like any parent, is worried about me doing it.
yeah, of course. They just want to see you happy and live a long life. But so it's understandable their warrant of care.
Yeah, exactly.
What so what my question was what do you know that specific moment when you went, this is it, bodybuilding is going to be a big part of my life, it's going to always be a part of my life, was it when you did, sometime when you did that first show, was it when you did the IFBB show and won the state overalls? Because you said posing is a really big thing that you love, and you do some posing coaching and that, so was it when you're on stage and doing that posing?
Yeah, it was probably a combination of moments for me. So probably first noticeable one was my first posing lesson.
Mhm.
And like just how challenging it was. I had no idea how to bring out my lats. Like I could pull up a photo of me and my first front relax, and it's quite literally just straight down. It's not much better now, but it's better. That's all that
Yeah,
we can say. Um, the combination of that as well as um, standing up on stage, just the feeling of not being able to see the crowd,
yeah,
but knowing the crowd's there, and but ignoring them at the same time, just allowing yourself to fully immerse with it.
mm,
Um, it was probably the making of my first routine where it's like, okay, yeah, I want to do this. Um, because YNF actually did a posing routine, ICN didn't,
yeah,
obviously. But yeah, YNF did posing routines, and yeah, I mean, looking back at the song choice that I picked the first time, it was a it was a probably would not be anywhere close to one of my first picks now. But yeah, just creating everything about it. It was kind of like I treated it as art,
mm,
um, more than like a sport at that point.
yeah.
Um, and whilst I wasn't the most artsy person or musically talented person growing up. Very much so little of that actually. I always enjoyed the idea of being able to portray my own form of art. And I
Mm.
guess that's all that bodybuilding is really, like your
Yeah.
body's your artwork. So yeah, it's a way of showing the hard work that you put in, and it's cool that there are people that like to appreciate the work that you can put in.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I think that's something that's super no, how do I say it? I feel like it's something that's a bit as time has gone on and we've kind of grown into, mass monsters and how the sport has and it's kind of doing a shift backwards now when we're kind of
Mm,
finding that balance. But it's like, when like the first person that comes to my mind a lot, because I watched a lot of his stuff when I first got into bodybuilding. It's like, someone like Kai Green, and it's like,
mm,
he really brought that you know thought process of, at the end of the day, bodybuilding, like you said, you're carving you're building your body and creating a silhouette, a size. You're seeing how far you can push your body to the limit to create art. And then yeah, it's all about displaying that. And that's something like I love about Kai Green is like the way he would do his posing and create, because then you can tell a story. It's like Terrence Ruffin in classic now. I think it's just
mm.
something that feels missed. And I think it's really cool when we have people like yourself, and even like, when I was talking to Will on the podcast, and he's a big person when it comes to posing, kind of bringing that art form back. And it's also helping people understand like it's not just about being a freak. That's the fun of it because you're a freak, and then you're telling a story while being a freak by posing. And I think it's cool that um you're able to one, that's what you fell in love with, but two, you're focusing on, continuing to bring that back into the sport.
Yeah, exactly. That's that's why like when classic physique came out, it probably came out about the same sort of time that I decided that I wanted to get into bodybuilding. Um, well, like properly do a show that was. I knew I always wanted to do bodybuilding at some point, but to actually commit to a show, um, yeah, that watching C-Bum, like
Yeah.
it's like wow, that's a crazy physique. Obviously, this was at the point where I was already in bodybuilding and watching him grow and get better and better somehow, even fitting in the weight cap still.
Crazy.
But like it just in my head, it was like, well, if they can continue to get better and better and not get bigger, then there's nothing stopping me from being able to do that myself. Um, because I didn't, I'll be straight up. I'd love to see how big I could get because I think I could get quite big. Um, Given I haven't really ever pushed PDs or um, done extended growth seasons or anything like that. But the thought of having to step on stage at like 140 kilos is not worth it, in
Yeah.
my opinion. Like it's, the risk to reward there is just not there.
Yeah.
Um, Given that I'm probably not going to be a top five Mr. Olympia, like it's
Yeah.
that risk reward's just not there for me for open bodybuilding at least. And
Definitely.
I think my structure's suited more to classic anyway.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's crazy to think about. Like when you think about someone like Samson, it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
he's like tall as fuck, and he's like almost like, 300, stepping on stage at 300 pounds. It's like that's fucking insane. Like
Yeah.
imagine, it's even like I can't even imagine having to, and he's someone who loves posing and does the routine. Imagine like
Mm.
carrying that weight while trying to hit the poses and flow so effortlessly. Like I can't even just imagine what that must be like. Because even, that's the thing. Posing is like one of the most hardest things you do. Like so far, I was in the gym today actually, and guys like I don't know, he had a camera dude with him, and he was like, I guess taking photos or doing some posing things in the mirror, and they're standing behind me, and he was like, it had like done a few rounds, and then he's gone, oh, I just like over here and go, oh fuck, man, this I'm dead now. He's like, this is even harder than the workout. It's like the posing. He's like, yeah, and it's just like that funny thing that it's like, yeah, it's like so many people who don't bodybuild also don't realize is like how hard it actually is to pose, and like make everything like pop when it needs to and like have everything contracting. So again, to
Yeah.
me, commends the people that actually put the effort in to pose so fluently.
Yeah, no, that's the art form itself is like making it look effortless. I think the only way you can do that is through repetition.
Yeah.
Um, like I quite literally pose every day, even in my off season. And I don't think I ever use a mirror except for when I'm in the um, posing room in culture, just because I find it's more of like a if you're not using a mirror, you're able to feel the muscles that you're
Yeah.
contracting a little bit better. And
And it's
then
not a mirror on
once,
stage anyway.
no, exactly. The more I've always been a big advocate of the more posing you get in without a mirror, the better you're going to perform on stage.
Most definitely,
So
I can see that.
yeah.
So, what would you say your biggest lesson? No, no, no. My bad, my bad. What I no, actually, what I want to ask you first was, what is the most surprising thing you've learned about yourself through like your bodybuilding journey?
Um, I'd say the I'd say reality check is how much harder you can push.
Hmm.
Um, like do you think you've pushed hard before? You haven't. You can always push harder.
Yeah.
And it's just one of the things where no matter what, I know how good you are at the sport, you can always improve.
Hmm.
Whether that be in a physical standpoint, adherence to diet, um, relationships. Because I think that's the thing that I need to work on most is um, when I'm in a prep, I kind of just switch off to the world around me.
Hmm.
And with that, my relationship with, say, my partner or my friends, like I'm quite frankly just a dick. Um, but that partially is due to things like MVP not agreeing with me
Yeah.
um, and just turning me pretty much emotionless in in a way. Um, More logical thinking than any emotion. And I'm a very emotive person.
Yeah.
I'm very emotional and probably on a touch of a softer side to most people. Like I'm kind of a big teddy bear.
Yeah.
So for me in a prep to lose that side of me is very difficult to say the least. Like that's the thing that I've learned most is that even when you think you're perfect in a sense, like with how you respond to people, your a prep's going to show what happens to you when you're pretty much dying.
Hmm.
Like you're on your deathbed. Like that's kind of what like a prep is towards the
Yeah.
end. You're like quite literally, your body's literally eating itself
Yeah.
um, to survive. So yeah, that aspect of not being perfect and being able to find places to level up.
Yeah. How do you think you've I it's just it's interesting. Like, do you find yourself self-aware when you're kind of like when like you're saying you feel like in prep because of like not agreeing with it and kind of not realize you outside of prep being a more teddy bear style person, and then when that kind of gets removed while you're prepping, are you like aware that that's kind of happening, or are you still perceiving it as that you're still being what you're normally like and it's the people that are around you that are kind of making you realize that you're acting different?
I guess it's a bit of both. Like I'm pretty self-aware that I'm like snappy or whatnot, and I'll usually apologize if I've picked up on myself being that way. Um, but then there is times where for example, with MPP use, where I'm like, I've done nothing wrong. I'm just thinking in a logical sense. Um, why are you getting upset over this? Like, this is the logical way of
Yeah,
thinking. There's and with no empathy involved
yeah,
for how the other person's feeling. And it's like, just think logically here. So I guess a bit of both. It's that's the I'd say the biggest negative for me with PEDs is just how much it can change you as a person, um, which is obviously very common throughout bodybuilding. It's very rare that people get zero neurological side effects. Um, and then you have ones like Trent. I'm actually good on Trent.
yeah.
I'm happy as Larry and a
That's crazy.
much better person to be
Yeah,
around.
yeah.
um, but yeah,
I
the being not so self aware is um, the bit that I struggle with most with PEDs.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I no, I think it's good that you're able to kind of like acknowledge it, and you are kind of, because I think there's definitely people out there, and I feel like I've met some of them sometimes that like th they're not clocking on. They just don't give a fuck. Like
Mm.
they've gone, oh, whatever. Like I'm gonna be a dick, and that's fine. So it's like good to kind of at least show that you're somewhat aware and realizing this is a place, an area that we I can level up on. Because I think like it's something, I think a maturity switch, and I think it's a very good place to be in as you continue to prep and evolve as an athlete. We are talking to someone else, and it was kind of like him being a father of kids, and two kids, and a husband, and he's like, because when he first started prep, he was a kid, so he's never known what it's like to prep
Mm.
without having kids, and how he's kind of had to navigate and mature and learn, like it's the as much as it's a solo sport and you're going through the prep yourself, it's the people that are in your circle and around you that, like, support you in that prep, actually also help you succeed. So they're taking on stuff, they're catering to you, while and then so it's always good to try and be aware to when you can give back to them or cater while you're on this prep. And I think it's
Yeah,
great to hear that like I said, there's some people that just nothing, they don't give a fuck. So it's cool to hear that, like, you're noticing that's something that you want to kind of continue to mature as an athlete. And I think, to me, that's going to take you further as an athlete compared to being someone that's just like, I'm in prep, I'm gonna shut everything off, I don't care.
yeah. Um, it's probably my biggest goal, other than obviously improving each time my look, say on
Mhm.
stage. That is my biggest goal each time that I do a prep. Is I want to be better
Yeah.
each time I do it. To the point where you shouldn't notice that you're in prep. Um, like, I should just be able to act like a normal human being, and people won't know that I'm in prep.
Mm.
Like, 'cause that's what everyone says at the end of the day. Like, people should know you're in prep. Like, don't make it known that you're in prep. It's
Yeah.
just live like a normal human being. Obviously, it's much harder said than done.
Definitely, definitely.
um, but yeah, that's my biggest goal in
Yeah.
terms of progression as an athlete.
No, that's cool. I like that. I can respect that a lot. So, what? Okay, so taking the season that's just happened, and what has been like the biggest highlight or the biggest like win from this recent season? And then what's been, I guess, the biggest lesson and takeaway? Well, I guess what you just kind of shared was obviously maybe a lesson that you're kind of learning to improve on. So what's been, I guess, the recent showing, your biggest highlight, whether it was, your posing routine was better, whether it was something to do with a milestone within your prep? What do you feel like you've taken away that's going to help you, you know, when you're ready to step back on stage or take into this new growth phase?
Um, I think the biggest thing for me was the improvement I made. Um, Given I didn't have a growth season between it, I pretty much had like the worst series of events leading up to it, and honestly, probably wasn't in the mental state where I should have competed.
Mm.
Um, like post show last year, I probably about 12 weeks post comp. I got hit defending um, one of my work colleagues from a abusive ex, um, and yeah, he fractured my face. Um,
Yeah.
so I spent 16 weeks not being able to train fully, um, and then from there I started a cycle. I was using fake tests for all my pretty much my whole cycle. Um,
Crazy.
and then, yeah, obviously decided that I was needed to compete because I wasn't going to hit that weight cap. So having that physical progression and noticeable difference between times I stepped on stage within that year, I was very pleased with. The fact that I jumped up 5 places and arguably a more competitive lineup
Yeah.
in the open class. And yeah, my posing routine I was very happy with. Given the feedback I got from it, there's a fair few people that said like hands down my routine was the most enjoyable to watch. Um, so I thought that was quite um, it was comforting to hear because I'd obviously put a lot of work into making sure that my posing was good and transitions were clean and et cetera, et cetera. And it showed with the feedback I got from it. So I was very happy with that. But actually, another lesson that I want to take away from it is that in the same breath as knowing that I thought I wasn't going to hit a weight cap, but you always have more muscle to gain and than more fat to lose than you actually think you do.
Yeah.
Um, so it's a big learning curve that I can be much bigger um, before I need to actually start cutting and worrying about whether I'm going to hit that weight cap or not.
Yeah.
So
What
that's
was the
a fairly big lesson.
what was the weight difference? I think I saw one of your posts and it was like a yeah comparison of this stage to last stage and you looked more conditioned. So you obviously like, even though you were worried about that weight cap, you were able to peel more off and you ended up being fine. So what was that like stage weight comparison?
I think it was 3 kilos
Yeah.
up. Um, so it was 104.6 last time I competed. And I think the last one was 107.6 or something like that. I don't know the exact figures off the top of my head. I'd have to go back and check. But yeah, I think it was about a 3 kilo difference. But given that I was leaner and 3 kilos heavier was a very big win for me.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, yeah, no, I was very happy with what I was able to do in the time span, given how many like setbacks that I had.
Yeah, literally. Like I respect the resilience that you had and even the dedication to go after, having fake test and then like, not being able to train because you like the draw, like, to go, what, fuck it. I'm so worried about a weight cap. I'm gonna get on stage. Like I respect that so much. And that just I think, it's funny to me, like, I'm sure people would have said, like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Or you don't need to do that. But I think it's one shows your character, one it builds character, and then two it just makes you a better athlete. Because then now you can, like, to me it must light a fire in you to go, well, that was like the most fucked up growth season ever. I still came in more peeled. I was still, grew some tissue. What's gonna happen when things go perfectly?
Yeah.
Like,
No,
yeah,
which is exactly why I'm excited for this growth season. I'm meant to be starting it sometime this week. Um, so excited for me to actually start pushing some food, pushing. I'm not excited about pushing the drugs because drugs aren't everything in this,
yeah,
but excited to push and progress.
mm,
Um, yeah, there was plenty of goods and bads I could take away from this. But yeah, I do think that in hindsight, it was great that I did compete, but knowing that I probably shouldn't have competed.
mm.
Um, so it's a lesson for the future, knowing that the sage is always going to be there. Um, and you shouldn't really rush into things if you're not all there for it. Because it definitely made my prep a hell of a lot harder. Dieting wise, like my
Yeah,
ghrelin certainly hadn't come down from the first post show.
definitely. I think, but I think it's good. I think it should then also make the next prep. Like I feel like it's like one of those, what do you call it? Like life lessons or like reminder in life that sometimes you got to go through something that's just unnecessarily difficult, even if you put yourself through it, put yourself through it yourself to then know that when you approach that again, it then becomes so much more easier. Because I think sometimes when you don't do it, you can either get cocky or you can get arrogant, or you just kind of feel like you're always being fed with a spoon and things go smoothly. And then you're
Yeah,
actually never actually growing mentally, growing physically, actually being better because then you get complacent. So I think it's one of those things that it did it have to happen? No, but like you said, you learn a lot from it, you grew a lot from it, and now it's only just made you a better athlete. And I feel like every athlete needs that moment of growth and maturity to then kind of propel. So I'm
yeah.
excited as a fan and as to see what you're going to bring to stage
Yeah,
next,
thanks, man.
especially working with Tom and the success Tom has had with Jake, and that's exciting. So to me, you've got great potential. So being able to kind of imagine what could come out of this is exciting. What I wanted to know was, because I don't know if I misheard. So the prep that you just did, was that with Tom as well? Or was that with someone
No,
else?
no, no. So I was with a small local coach.
Yeah.
His name's Chris Corcoran. Um, Good mate of mine. Really smart, knowledgeable guy. I think if anything, I probably couldn't have had a better coach in terms of mental maturity. Um, Very mentally astute. Um, like very mentally sharp. Has been there, done that sort of thing.
Hmm.
So there's actually a point. It was like we were 8 weeks out, um, and I was actually contemplating pulling out of prep. Um, and I just said to him like, I'm absolutely struggling. My weight hadn't moved in I think it was like 6 weeks. Um, I and I was like to him, can I take the week? Like I think it was a day. I said, can I take the day? Go out with Freya for dinner and just like have an off day. To which he said, if it's going to get you out of your own head and stop, I think he, I think he said if it's going to stop you being a fucking asshole to yourself, then absolutely. Um, and yeah, went out, had a pretty much a free meal with my partner, and I ended up that week over the next 5 days losing like 6 kilos. So it was kind of just like a de-stress of
Yeah.
that's all I needed. And I think if there's not many coaches out there that would say, yeah, go ahead and do that.
100%. Yeah.
Um, but most coaches would just say, oh no, suck it up. Like you've got to keep pushing, da da da. But it definitely helped ease the rest of my prep. Um, yeah, having that kind of like mid prep break,
Yeah.
almost.
No, that's cool. I think it's important. It's like I think it's nice to see that, and I think more people should. It's hard. I think it's, trying to take all people's sides. I think something that we're still learning in the sport and as athletes and as coaches is how powerful stress is on the body
Mm.
and like what it can do. And sometimes, even if it just makes no sense, like, yeah, why would you have a diet break? Why would you just have a day where you don't worry about it? It's like, suck it up, push harder. That's what everybody else is doing. But it's like, it's the stress. It's like if you didn't do that, things could have gone worse because the
Mm.
stress would have continued to accumulate. But as you said, you did it, you had the break, completely detoxified, got rid of the stress, and then boom, 6 kilos came off you easily. So I think it's cool that you sharing this story now for people listening to, again, just reflect and think. And, it's something that I guess if you experience this again, that's something that you can share with Tom and go, look, I've had a similar experience like this before. This is what happened. and then things were fine. So it's cool to be able to have a coach that you can kind of it is, I guess, trusting you with that, and also trusting that you're not going to binge or carry it on to more days, but allowing you to kind of find a way to de-stress.
Yeah, I think it definitely depends on the athlete, um, because yeah, as you say, not everyone is going to stop and go back to plan sort of thing. Um, and I guess it also depends on like how much stress they're actually going through.
Mm,
Like, is it actually that hard? Are you actually pushing that hard? At the end of the day, it could be the hardest thing they've ever done, and that's fair enough. But yeah, there definitely is times where I, because I don't want people to go away. He had a diet break and
yeah,
it worked for him.
yeah,
Like, I
yeah,
don't want people to go away and think, okay, just because I did that doesn't mean that
yeah.
everyone should do that. Because I've heard many stories of like the complete opposite happening, pretty much.
Yeah,
Um,
of course, 100%. I should have preferenced that it is, of course, 100% contextual because yes, everyone,
yeah,
that is correct. Like, just because you feel that it's hard or you feel stressed doesn't actually necessarily mean that that's going to be the solution for you. Most
mm,
definitely.
yeah, yeah. No, but you do raise a very good point with like cortisol levels being higher and definitely affecting weight loss because I'm probably the biggest stress head out there. So I'm very good at not being able to lose weight, even when I absolutely should be losing weight. Yeah.
It's interesting. I'm intrigued to kind of see how more, because it's definitely something that's being talked about more. I think of like especially, now that fatigue management has become a bit trending now, and kind of, then playing on, stress and cortisol and that being more relevant, how that will continue to, I guess, develop within the community and go, okay, well, how can we really monitor how stressed this individual is and what aspects of that is playing on the physique, whether it is, their training performance or whether it is their adherence to the diet or whether it is just not being able to lose weight when they clearly should be. So it'll be fascinating to see how that continues to grow.
Yeah. There's obviously pros and cons to it. I think a lot of people might take that the wrong way and go too hard on the fatigue management side of things. And I think I think that's why there are quite a few people that step on stage where they're simply just not lean enough. And like it's I guess a good and bad thing for those people. Because they're like, okay, well, I wasn't that lean. I can push hard next time, and it's a great learning curve for them.
Mm.
Um, but I think in those cases, the coach should definitely take over and be like, "You're not ready for stage. I know you've prepped all this time, but it's gonna, it'll be back, sort of
Yeah.
thing." And I just kind of hope that that's the way that it goes with fatigue management is used sparingly.
Mm.
End of the day, bodybuilding is a hard sport, and it should be a hard sport.
Definitely, definitely. It's interesting, like what you just said. Like it reminds me to I went to a what do you call it? What's the federation? Hey, A&B, I think it is like the Australian
Mm.
Natural Federation,
Yeah,
and stuff. No, it's maybe like the second time I've seen it or third time. I've seen it at a couple of IFBB shows, but seeing someone step on stage and it's like, did you even start a prep?
yeah,
And it's like it's interesting, like it just makes you think. It's like, one, why did their coach let them do that? Obviously we don't know whatever, they could have been even bigger, and it's just like more of like they've done a weight loss transformation. But it's such an interesting as thing to think about, is like, you know what, how did, like, what's going through their head when they get there and they seeing everybody they step on stage like way more peeled than they are. It's like, yeah, it's
yeah. It would,
food for thought after like kind of what you just said about, stepping on stage and kind of going, oh, I could have pushed harder, I could have been leaner. Well, I know that for next time, or and then the coach kind of going, hey, maybe you shouldn't step on stage.
yeah. I think it takes away from them a little bit more.
Mm,
Because like they're proud of all the hard work they've done. Like, so they could be a really big person stepping
yeah.
on stage, but I feel like it would, in the back of their mind, would take away from them standing on stage, doing all the hard work, and probably coming last.
Yeah.
Um, Great fuel for the fire, but I mean, it's not a necessary thing that needs to happen. Like, it's a, I mean, in some sense, I think it would probably be a little bit demoralizing. For
Yeah.
me personally, I think I'd feel very demoralized if I put all that hard work in and I stepped on stage and I was just fat. Like, you have all those dreams that, like, you have those bad dreams where you step on stage and you're like peak off season and you're like
Yeah.
stepping, like, the next thing you're getting tanned up and you're about to step on stage. You're like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and yeah, to me, that's a terrible, like, just a bad dream, quite literally. And yeah, I I can't speak for them, but yeah, personally speaking, I'd feel pretty upset that I went through all that work and then just didn't get there.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's hard. I know what you mean. It's like that fear of like why you're in prep and you're having that nightmare. Stage day comes and you're up in there and you
Mm.
look like you're guest posing, like and everyone else is like stage shredded, and then all of a sudden you don't even make any call out. It's terrible.
Yeah, like it's the biggest scare for any athlete that wants to do really well as they step on
Yeah, yeah.
stage and they're just not what
Yeah.
they thought they were going to be.
It's hard. It's hard. Part of the. It's like, I always think like bodybuilding, especially when it comes to stepping on stage. At the end of the day, it's rolling dice. Like that's
Yeah.
the thing. It's like take someone like Nick Walker for example. It's like he's. It's gonna be interesting to see how he shows up at the Arnold Classic. But it's like that thing. Yeah, he's looking amazing now. He looks great all the way leading up. We know he's in shape, but it's the roll of the dice of how he lands the plane, and it can just be one tiny thing, and boom, you go from being in that top three so-called like conversation to placing six, arguably could have been placing seven. So yeah, it's part of the sport, I guess.
Yeah. No, I think we all thought too highly of Nick and thought he was going to do much better than he did.
Yeah.
But in that case, I could absolutely see where that fire would be lit for him. So he's obviously just going to come in much better.
Mm.
Probably why he he flipped out post show and dropped his coach and
Yeah. Yeah.
went
So I'm doing it
coachless.
myself.
Yeah.
Makes me think of that meme from Avengers, but of Thanos. It's like I'll do it myself.
Yeah. Exactly like that. Yeah.
Two more questions, and then we'll wrap things up. What is something training or nutrition, like a habit or a belief, or something a skill that you kind of swear by now compared to when you first started bodybuilding?
Um, very. So when I first started training, I kind of just trained like an absolute. Okay, I want to say it without sounding like an arrogant fuck, like an animal. Um, Train like an animal, train as heavy and as hard as you can, and grow that way. Also, it taught me how to train hard, and I'd say I'm probably one of the people that train harder in the bodybuilding community. I mean, everyone trains hard, but yes, it's allowed me to now go, okay, I know how to train hard, but I've now decided to drop back on weights, really focus on form, and just slow down the rep, I guess. Really be more mindful of the muscle I'm building rather than just trying to throw the weight around. And I don't want to say that and be like, okay, well, people should go and control the weights and do that. Like, I think everyone needs to have that little bit of kind of clueless,
Hmm.
like throwing the weight around, being an absolute animal in the gym. And I think that's going to ultimately lead to a much better athlete if they can learn to train hard like that. Because once you've learned to train hard and then you start dialing it in, you still know whether you're training hard or not, or whilst still being able to perform the movement at the best way possible.
Yeah.
Um, and in terms of like a diet aspect side of things, uh, just belief systems have changed. Like I was very naive when I was playing rugby. I pretty much went sugar free. Um, so like I cut all processed sugars out.
Mhm.
Still, obviously, I ate fruits and like natural sugars, but and I think physique wise, I probably looked much sharper. Like I was able to get pretty lean on fairly high calories. But now to switching over to allow myself that sweet treat here and there, I think in terms of the stress management side of things, it's a lot more sustainable.
Mm.
Um, so not you're better off. My coach said this to me. Tom said this to me the other day. It's like you're better off being 90% um, for 7 days a week rather than being 100% one day of the week and then 80% another day of the week.
Yeah.
You're going to ultimately improve much better if you're at least 90 to 95% there every day.
Yeah, yeah. That's the power, that power of consistency. It's like
Yeah.
the fun. It's like it's so true. It's like so underrated, and it's just fun. Like I find it funny because it's like the number one like I guess like as a coach advertisement for like Gen Pop. It's like the number one thing you got to drill into a Gen Pop client's head, which is like
It's,
yeah, it's all about consistency and stacking wins up. And it's like, yeah, 90% over 7 days is a better consistency to continue over time than like going, oh, here's 5 days of perfect consistency, but I fuck it up on the weekend. It's like, then the level of consistency, it's like 90 then to 50. Well, that goes up, down, where it's like 90% where you're just going to keep trending that way. So,
yeah, I hear it quite literally all the time.
yeah,
Working in a supplement store,
yeah,
the people that come in and be like, I can't figure out why my diet's off. I'm eating 1,200 calories. I'm doing cardio this many days a week. I'm doing this many steps, and I'm like, okay, are you drinking alcohol? Are you are you eating on plan on the weekend? Oh no, I have a couple of things here, and it's like,
yeah.
okay, we'll just cut that out. Cut that out. Increase your calories, and you'll be much better. I promise.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy how just even something like what you just said, like cutting out all those like bullshit things that you're doing, and then you'll realize you can actually even probably eat a little bit more than what you're doing, and you're gonna lose weight because your body will just start recomping because you don't need to actually be starving yourself. So, you can then have some beers and drink way too much on a Friday night or whatever it is, or go out to the pub and have way too much to eat. It's so true. It's so very funny.
Yeah, it shits me the people that come into the store be like, oh, I'm on the man shake diet, and it's like 900 calories, and the man shake is the worst protein shake I've ever seen
Yeah.
on earth. And they're like, the man shake diet's got like an apple, like a rice cake, and just for simplicity's sake, it's the most stupid diet I've ever seen. It's literally 900 calories, and it's like killing people's
Yeah.
metabolism.
I'm surprised companies like that haven't had like lawsuits
Lawsuits, yeah.
put against them and stuff like that for what they're kind of doing. And the fact that they can get the advertisement and be put like in like they sell them at Woolworths, advertised on the TV constantly at YouTube stuff, and just constantly pushed at gen popping consumers. And then like that's the thing. It's like that's not ethical. Eating a rice cake and
Yeah.
apple, 900 calories a shake, and then this person's not losing weight or they lose weight. They go great, then they start eating again, and then they put it back on. I guess it's consumerism, and so they can make more money. But it's sad, especially being someone
And
who you know like yourself, you work in a supplement store, and then you're a bodybuilder. Where that people can think that we take things to the extreme, but we also learn a lot about how to manage and keep a healthy body, even though we're taking it to the extreme.
like the fact that they can give out nutritional advice without any negatives, and then like a sole trader coach, if they don't have the nutritional qualifications, they can like
Yeah,
get under mad heat from it.
crazy, crazy. Well, one last question to wrap things up. what is your, I guess, how are you approaching 2026 mentally? What is like your because we're about to, what, there's like 2 days left of the 2025 calendar,
Yep.
going into this massive growth season, getting ready for, season A 2027. What is the mental clarity or, mantra or slogan or, what are you leading at the front and taking every day by in 2026?
Um, and the biggest things for me this year are going to be um, relationships. So big emphasis on making sure I have stable relationships before I go into this next prep. Um, Relationships that are going to withhandle me being the absolute dickiest dick on the world. Um, Hopefully, I don't do that, but that's how stable I want the relationships to be. And also, like constant improvement. It's going to be a bit different for me because I'm going back to uni. So I'm going to be doing exercise, a bachelor of exercise and sports science, and then a master in clinical exercise physiology.
That's exciting.
Um, so going back to uni will be a bit of a challenge, stepping to part time in the supplement store, and then also uh, increasing coaching as well as posing coaching, um, and then maybe a couple other little avenues that I have a plan that I might, fingers crossed, by the end of the year, have that up and running. Um, yeah, it's going to be a year of definitely a lot of hard work because I have a lot of big goals that I want to hit. But the mantra would just be short term pain for long term gain.
Yeah.
That would be the mantra.
Yeah. I, I respect it. I get it. I feel you. I 100% agree. I think, yeah, a lot of work, like work's got to be done. Just get the work done. It's like,
Mm.
it's going to be hard, but, you know, if you can get the hard work done, you'll reap the rewards afterwards.
Yeah, yeah. I've always the mistake I made in life is living life to be happy and barely making it through, rather than going, okay, put in the hard work now, you can be happy from that hard work you put in.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, just short term pain for long term gain.
Yeah. I love it. What a great way to end the episode. Well, thank you so much for jumping on and joining and chatting. You
Yeah, thank you for
absolutely
having me,
aced
man.
it and killed it. So I hope you had fun.
I did. It was very good chatting.
Awesome.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Glad to hear. Well, thank you so much, and I'll let you get to the rest of your day. And I hope you have a really good new year. And I'm
Yes,
excited to
happy
see
new year,
what,
man.
all the success that's going to come your way come 2026.
Likewise, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
I can see what you're doing in the putting in the work. So I look forward to see what you yourself can make in the new year.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, enjoy the rest of your day, man.